Hey everybody. A few minutes ago, I got this screenshot from a friend, and the minute I saw it, I knew I had to say something about it, and I knew what I was going to say about it because this is very serious and very, very basic, very elemental in political thinking. Um, and this connects my Israeli experience with what's happening now in the US. And listen carefully because this is such an important message. This goes beyond, content and videos and doing stuff and commenting and analyzing. This is basic human behavior and psychology and being political at the really, I can't say the word basic enough. What I'm talking about is this headline by the New York Times about this Trump crackdown on what they call DEI, workers of the federal government, basically people who got into working for the federal government through they were either black people, gay people, Hispanics, transgenders, all the minority groups that Democrats and liberal wanted to promote. This is like the latest incarnation of affirmative action. Okay, um, Democrats wanted, and this is a good thing. They wanted to have more diversity in the federal government in terms of the people that work for it, and they wanted to bring in people from minority groups. This makes a lot of sense. I'm not sure this is the right way to go about it. Everything about American thinking is formal and linear and binary. You either do this or you do this, and you always declare. Anyway, this is not my point. My point is this is really, really dark. This is dark. This is it. I mean, this crackdown means that every black person, every woman, every gay person, every transgender person, every Hispanic, every minority group working for the federal government, except maybe one, which I'm not going to name, but we all know, they are now being hunted. They come home from work every day from now on, not knowing if they're going to have a job tomorrow. This creates such an atmosphere of fear and intimidation, and this is white supremacy. This is white supremacy. Let's not have any doubts about it. This is white supremacy. They want to cleanse the federal government from all the employees who are not white male. This is what they want to do. And this is the way of doing it. And this is dark and terrible, and it sets the country back. I don't know how decades or a century back. This is actual terrible news. When people were trying to scare us of Trump, this is the stuff they meant. This is actually scary, actually terrible, actually terrible. But my point is, it's not about this. You know, in the last years in Israel, before the genocide, it was clear to me, and I think to other people as well, but I made a point of saying this repetitively. My message was we are not going to be able to change Israeli society or the results of Israeli politics and the way the Israeli so-called democracy, which is bullshit. It's not a democracy where millions of people can't vote. It's nonsense. It's not a democracy. It's just branding, completely false branding. But my point was, we cannot change Israeli policy. We cannot change how the Knesset is formed, its composition. It's going to be Zionist and right wing. It's going to continue supporting genocide, apartheid, and occupation, leading to genocide eventually, because there was no other way it was going to go. So we can't make a change in reality, but it is still crucial for us, and this is the point of this video. It is still crucial for us to save our dignity. And this is the key word: dignity. Dignity. When you say, I don't have the power to change a policy, but I'm not going to participate in it. I can't make Israel stop the occupation, but I'm not going to join military service. I'm not going to be in reserve service and help the occupation because it is against my conscience, against my vision, against who I want to be as a human being. This is saving your dignity. This is saving your dignity. We have to at least acknowledge and recognize and talk about the issues in real terms and be real about it and be real about what the occupation means. And I tried to make this point so many times, so many times. And I had a small platform. I wasn't a big name, but I was kind of known. I worked for Haaretz for a while. But again and again, left-wing politicians and opinion writers and opinion leaders, whoever, they never wanted to acknowledge this point. They never agreed to call evil by its proper name. They never agreed to say what Israel is doing is morally repugnant and wrong, and we will not participate in it. We can change it. We can change it. Within the current set of rules, we can change it. But we will make a stand, and we will make our stance clear. We will talk about it. We will save our dignity, because tomorrow this is all we're going to have. And the same thing, exactly the same thing happened to the American left, establishment left, liberal left, Democratic Party. Exactly the same thing happened to them in this genocide. Exactly the same thing. They wouldn't talk about the genocide. I don't know why. Because their big donors forced them to not talk about it. Because their colleagues wouldn't talk about it. Because in polite society in New York and Washington, it wasn't acceptable to talk about this as genocide and sadism and brutal murder and mass extermination of people. In a polite American society, you don't say it. It's not acceptable. So they didn't say it. So they lost their dignity as human beings and they lost their political power. Now they can talk about anything. Now the American left, the Democratic Party, can't talk about anything with power, with conviction, because they agreed to genocide. Because they agreed to genocide. They wouldn't speak and they wouldn't call it by name. And they got destroyed politically, morally, humanly. They don't exist as a political camp anymore. There's no opposition to Trump. There's no opposition. Now Trump can do whatever he wants in the US. He can have concentration camps for his political rivals. Easy. There's no one to oppose this. Once you agreed to let go of your dignity, once you agree to let go of your dignity, this is it. You're done. You're done for. It's over for you. You will never be part of the game. And even when things change, through shame, you still won't be able to speak about anything. This is what I mean by tomorrow, your dignity is everything you're going to have. If the Israeli left wing actually had spoken about the occupation in real time 5 years ago, 10 years ago, and said, we are not going to participate in it. We are not going to reserve service. That's it. We are cutting ties with Israeli institutions that are part of the occupation. We will go to the international community and seek its help in stopping the occupation and forcing Israel to not expand settlements, to stop this madness. But they didn't do it. So they had to keep on. They lost their voices. They lost their ability to speak. They lost their place in the political space. And they continued. They didn't speak about the occupation. They didn't speak about all the laws that the left wing, the right wing passed before the genocide. There was no opposition because when you see some horrible deed, some horrible thing, some horrible crime taking place, and you agree to shut up, you are over. You are done. That's it for you. You don't exist anymore politically. You are a dead man. Politically, you are a dead man. That's it. You have agreed with evil. You joined evil because you were reluctant to speak up. And this is what happened to the US. This because it's not only the political calculation. We're going to speak about the genocide and we're going to have this demographic or that demographic. This is bullshit. This is nonsense. This is irrelevant. This is what you represent as a political camp that's connected to reality, connected to issues, connected to people, connected to the rest of the world, connected to your own dignity. If you don't have that, everything else is bullshit. Everything else doesn't matter. It's completely irrelevant. And when the Democratic Party, and it's not just the Democratic Party, it's all American establishments, all of them, the press, the medical community, they saw their colleagues in Gaza being fucking exterminated. They said nothing. They said nothing. It's the education system. They saw schools in Gaza being destroyed and they said nothing. It's religious leaders. They saw mosques being bombed and they said nothing. It's the whole system. And now the whole system is has its mouth shut. It can't speak. It can't speak. It doesn't have a voice. Because it doesn't have dignity. Because it didn't speak up against evil in real time. And now we have this. Now we have this. And this is just the beginning. Because now there's no opposition to what Trump represents. Nothing. 8 years ago, I remember the women marches. Millions of people took to the streets to demonstrate. Now there's no vitality in the American left. It has become emptied. And this is the reason. This is the reason. And don't let anyone tell you otherwise. This is the reason. It is because they saw genocide live every day for a year. And they agreed to not say anything. This is how they committed political suicide. This is how they become null and void as a political power, with no power, with nothing. And I wanna stress this, and I wanna say this to everyone who's watching this video. This is coming for you. The current wave of fascism, we saw the Elon Musk salute. We saw it with our own eyes. This is coming for all of us. This is going to knock on the door of each and every one of us. And my message to you, save your dignity. Save your dignity because tomorrow everything that you're going to have. Everything else is nonsense. Your job, your possessions, it's nothing. It means nothing. It can all disappear in a minute. If you don't have your dignity, if you don't have a voice, if you don't have political meaning because you let it go, because you agree to shut up, this is where it's really over for you. This is much worse than anything else. And this is coming for every one of us. Every one of us will have to make a choice in the very near future. In the very near future, your colleagues are going to be hunted down and persecuted. Your neighbors, maybe members of your family, people in another community, in another country. If you agree to not say anything, this is game over for you. You lost your yesterday, you lost your today, and you lost your tomorrow. So learn from the lesson of Israel and the US, because I have witnessed the collapse of both countries, both cultures. I was in Israel and now I'm in the States, and I can see the same thing happening exactly because people are the same. It doesn't matter the country, the community, the religion, the color, it doesn't matter. When you agree, and I will say it until don't have a voice anymore. When you agree to children being shot by snipers and you agree to say nothing, this is tantamount to committing suicide. When I decided to speak up against what Israel was doing, I was saving myself as well, not just fulfilling my obligation to my fellow human beings, to my Palestinian brothers and sisters. And I mean it when I say it, because my father is a Palestinian Jew. They are my extended family. They are my relatives. This is how I see them. But I was also saving my own soul. I need to be able to look at myself in the mirror. Tomorrow, there's going to be a tomorrow. There's going to be a tomorrow. And we are going to have to live with ourselves. And if you choose to not speak up, to not say anything, to not protest, what you're doing is agreeing to stop existing. I'm not even kidding. This is what you're doing. So when they come for you, when they demand an answer from you, and reality will demand an answer from you, I promise you, reality will demand an answer from you. Remember this: save your dignity. This is all you're going to have.